Hello, and welcome to my candidacy defense. Thank you for taking the time to attend. Um, so I wanted originally to fully write a new essay or do some sort of performance or maybe DJ and clown makeup, just, radically imagining the full capacity of Zoom. But as we've continued to live in this space, I don't have quite as much energy to jokerify myself right now. Plus, my DJ software free trial ran out. So I know that when Shakespeare was like, all the world's a stage, he was in fact talking about me specifically during my Zoom calls. So I think this vlog will have to do, it's conceptually sound. It's practically sound in that I don't think Zoom has the capacity to render this beautiful, vibey background video to its full capacity. And then, emotionally it's sound in that I get pretty bad anxiety about these things. And now, I can slow down, think about what I'm saying. But it's also kind of like vlogging, but at what cost? I don't have a shaky voice, but now I have this horrible little artifact that I'm gonna have to rewatch while I'm editing and also watch you guys watch, which is horrific. So now that I've spent nearly 3 minutes riffing on vlogging, let's get into it. Suburban nihilism. So it's feeling alienated physically, geographically, emotionally, spiritually, economically. Doesn't really matter the exact context. It's just a deep-rooted feeling that in some way you are alone. It's like a chronic adolescent suspicion that you're somehow apart from the people and the structures and the systems that surround you and that you live within. It's not like a snotty pop punk, I hate this town, I hate these people. That's like a little bit more energy or like rebellion than we're going for. But it's knowing that there's a part of you separated out, whether it's on the personal, the political, the structural, and then what you turn to when you're there, the nihilism, the solipsism, the Marxism, whatever. And so I think this idea is most obviously expressed through my websites. I'm not sure I'm an object maker. You've seen objects in my portfolio, hopefully. I try to make an object. But I think I'm more of an idea haver. If we're getting more specific, a joke idea haver. And those joke ideas occasionally live in objects, more oftentimes websites. And so maybe that seems like the antithesis to the whole alienation thing, but I think it's actually the exact same. It's like, if you consider all communication as an attempt to reach out, then the exploration of alienation and its sub-themes and the jokes primarily made for myself and my friends aren't necessarily leaving the room or the house or the neighborhood, but letting someone know that I'm here too. So Nicole recently compared this joke idea having to that of the trickster and what it means to be a suburban trickster and what that role looks like and how it plays out. I mean, I think we can immediately think to some examples. Avril Lavigne's Complicated music video, Ghost World, a variety of Disney Channel original movies. But then, as you step in a little deeper, it's like The Revolutionary Road, Virgin Suicides, Euphoria, Jackass, and how quickly existential ennui can turn from mischief to mutilation, and how that plays out internally, mentally, privately, and externally, bodily, publicly. Just to send the point home, how, you tell me, how is, Steve-O going to check on Johnny Knoxville after he, almost gets gored by a bull any different than St. Thomas sticking his fingers in Jesus's wounds after the crucifixion. When I was in undergrad in a college town, truly in the middle of nowhere, there was always this itch for destruction, usually expressed through shooting bottles with arrows or binge drinking, or even, literally performing our own version of Jackass called Jackass Night, which I can expand on in Q&A if you'd like. But other tropes as well. I mean, this is like partially youth-induced, and the way in which when you're young, your self-destruction doesn't have any permanent consequences or isn't perceived to, bodily or otherwise, but also manifested through this pathological boredom, and the way in which when you live in an area that doesn't necessarily serve you, you create your own entertainment and community around that. People in cities love to think of themselves as these like post-ironic mind freaks, but I would offer that submitting to the suburbs is infinitely more twisted. And the way in which there's this dichotomy between the youth-based depictions of like fighting it, which again is not necessarily true, and then the slow acquiescence of adulthood, the submission that's way more nihilistic than like driving to a parking lot on your learner's permit to get high. And so I've been thinking a lot about all like the bike riding and skateboarding and rollerblading scenes, and the way these modes of transportation are kind of in illusion to freedom and illusion of freedom as you roll from one identical home to another. And the way this intersects with some of my online work, how the act of surfing the net and forming these online communities while still trapped in this alienated space, it's the same thing. And as we now especially exist solely through our online spaces and our bike rides. So that's what brought me here. And that's what my work is about, I guess. A dark family room in the suburbs, illuminated solely by the screen of an old desktop. Everyone else asleep. What's found in that space. And so with that, what does a life lived in this alienated, isolated space look like long term? And what are the consequences to existing solely through simulacrum? I mean, here specifically, I'm kind of referring to online lives, but it's not exclusive from that of the suburbs and the simulation of an idealized life, which also then circles back and is analogous to the way we simulate our lives on social media. I argued for the formativity of, essentially being a teen online. But is that sustainable? How do I ascend from my avatar? And what's the point of a body when my brain now is solely expressed through my MacBook? I'd like to think that at the end of all of this, there's an ego death and the disillusion of self, realization that it's all the same. But now especially, who are we without our performance of personhood, online or otherwise? I don't really know how to end this. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe and be sure to comment below. Thank you.